Welcome to Life Beyond Abortion, the podcast where we delve into the untold stories and experiences surrounding abortion. Stories often missing from everyday conversations, media reports, and even other podcast interviews. I'm your host, Melissa Ohden, the founder and CEO of the Abortion Survivors Network. As the author of You Carried Me, A Daughter's Memoir, and Abortion Survivors Break Their Silence, I've had the privilege of hearing the most powerful stories from some of the most resilient and courageous individuals. These stories and these people have profoundly transformed my life, and I believe they have the power to transform yours as well. Together, we will amplify these voices, share the truths that they illuminate, and challenge our culture to recognize what life is truly like beyond abortion. Thank you for joining me for this episode of Life Beyond Abortion. The great opportunity I have to have in-depth conversations with both everyday people and also professionals in the pro-life sphere to really highlight what life is like beyond abortion. You know, one of my favorite things about the work that I do is that I have this incredible opportunity to meet people around the world who then get to be a part of my life. And Libby Owens, today's guest, is one of them. Libby is the executive director of the St. Joseph Pregnancy Resource Center here in Missouri. And, you know, I'm looking forward to hearing from Libby, not only her personal story about how abortion has impacted her life, maybe personally and professionally, but also to give you a really, behind the scenes look to what the work looks like in pregnancy resource centers, especially in a state like Missouri, where a lot has changed in recent years legislatively. Libby, thank you so much for joining me.
Hi, Melissa. I'm really happy to be here. Thank you for the invitation.
And you are one of those people who, my life has, intertwined with. We've crossed paths time and time again, which is crazy because we're not getting older. So
I love that. Yes, you are correct.
Must be something in the water around here in Missouri.
Right.
Libby, I often like to start with what, has led people to doing what they do in their lives. And it typically involves some, impact of abortion. And I'm just thinking maybe we just start there. Some people get involved in pregnancy resource centers just by happen chance and maybe think that they're not the right person for the job. But yeah, what's your story?
My story would probably be a mix of those things. Honestly, we all know we've all been impacted by abortion in some way. And often that's in a secret way that maybe nobody around us has told us, right? But and early on, I just had a great compassion for life. And a lot of that has to do with the loss of my sister when I was 10 years old. So when you have a death at a young age, you experience a death, then all of a sudden you understand life is a gift. And then to be told in my 20s that I may not be able to have children and was married late at 35. That's what our society says is late, right? And had my one and only son when I was 38 years old, and I wasn't supposed to have a child. So I guess I just kind of was kind of drawn to that motherhood is a special gift. Having a baby is a real blessing, and not knowing if I'd ever be a mom and understanding what it is to know that life is precious. And then just basically having an awareness that it's not always that easy for everyone. And there are a lot of complications when it comes to life stories, and wanting to be compassionate about that.
And that's what I was just going to say. I think there's a lot of preconceived notions, especially about, those who work in pregnancy resource centers, that maybe you don't get it, right? You don't know my life. You don't understand my dynamics. You've probably had it easy. You've never experienced a loss. And yet those are the very things, Libby, that drew you into being a part of the Pregnancy Resource Center.
I think those are things that drew me to it, and I didn't realize it. It's my life story that drew me to wanting to help those that are in really hard places. And at the time, again, I just wanted to get involved and kind of be involved in a new community to me. So that's kind of how it started for me. But understanding the compassion and the care and that type of things were well established just through my life experiences.
I think you've seen a lot change, not just at your pregnancy resource center, but across the nation with pregnancy resource centers. I guess I would say, what do you feel like one of the greatest changes in a positive way has been, and what is one of the bigger obstacles?
Sure. One of the greatest changes in a positive way is going to be that we are talking. These are hard conversations, and it breaks my heart often, but we are talking. And let's go back a few decades ago. When I grew up in the 80s, we didn't really talk about abortion. And I'm not trying to encourage abortion now, but conversations are happening, and I see that as a positive. I see that it's positive that we are meeting women with factual information so that she can make her decisions. We are a praying organization, praying through every aspect of the services we provide. And yet, I believe there's something very important about empowering women with the facts, as opposed to her just thinking she knows what's best. How many times have I even encountered a decision in my life that my immediate response would have taken me down a very difficult path, right? So when we're having conversations and giving them factual information, I think is a very positive change. Quite honestly, the challenges of Roe v. Wade overturned, that is a blessing to have that overturned. But I don't think the pro-life community and pregnancy help centers were ready for everything that would come from that. I believe good is coming out of the current battles that we're in. But in the midst of all of that, there are some very concerning dynamics of that. And it's so challenging when you think about abortion pill and the access to that. Now, a positive in the midst of all of that is abortion pill reversal. And so we're very grateful that that's provided. But you see, to me, there's just layers of complexity when if life was valued, we wouldn't have to have some of these extra challenges that we're facing, even in the pro-life movement.
Right, sort of peeling back that onion. If we could just get rid
Mm-hmm.
of a couple of layers so that
Mm-hmm.
there wasn't quite so much to have to do.
Right. And yet, I do want to say we're not looking for easy work. It's never going to be easy, but we want to be available for those women. So it is definitely challenging, but it's great, promising, and rewarding work as well.
What have you seen within those that you serve? What do the circumstances look like right now? What do you and your team see as the quote unquote trends?
Um, that's going to vary. I know today we're seeing someone who's 15 years old. We have seen married couples come in the last few years that just said, we're done. We don't want to have any more children. And that really was eye-opening for us. Of course, we're seeing some complicated situations as well, but it tends to be women who are in very difficult situations, maybe extramarital affairs and that sort of thing, and now they don't want this child. Um, our hearts are breaking when we're hearing this, and so we're listening to them and providing information that we can, but some of those trends are not always what's typically thought of when it's a crisis pregnancy type situation.
Hmm. Well, and I think that's one of those things. Your steadfast supporters know this about you all, but I think maybe sometimes people out in the general public think they know pregnancy resource centers
Right.
and they don't. So maybe we need to back up just a little bit and, hear about what you guys offer, Libby.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So we have a crisis pregnancy clinic with availability 4 days a week, and women can go to either of our location in St. Joseph, our main clinic, or also a satellite office in Cameron, Missouri. The idea is that we can serve them within basically a 45-minute hour radius in Northwest Missouri, and that's really important to us. We also offer, so we want to walk with them the early days of their pregnancy and help them as they're gathering that information. Is the pregnancy viable? That's a very important question. How many women have gone ahead and had an abortion and the pregnancy wasn't viable to begin with? So again, we want her to be informed. We also offer My Baby and Me classes through Pregnancy Resource Clinic, and those classes are meeting every week while they're pregnant. These moms are coming for prenatal parenting information and curriculum, and they shop in our baby boutique with the points that they've earned. So it's a very nurturing, encouraging environment. And we're so delighted to be able to offer that. All of that's possible as well because of donors have made everything in the baby boutique, which is really a special place, available to them. On average, we're having 30 women a week attend classes with about 5 or 6 classes happening every week. We also coordinate for post-abortion recovery support, understanding 1 in 4 women, 1 in 4 men have had abortions, and we want to walk beside them as they're ready. Just for some reconciliation with that, and also to know God's forgiveness. But I believe we'll see a trend in abortion decline, and maybe not even the desire for abortion, when post-abortive people share their stories. So that's a big part of what we're doing. Also, just outreach efforts like Maternity Closet. This week, we'll be giving away maternity clothes. And then that's a way for us to introduce women to our My Baby and Me classes. And then emergency services. If people call today about a fire or a job loss, then we want to be able to help as we can. We always want to take care of the babies, and that's very important to us. We also do rural outreaches. We call them Caravan, where we're taking the diapers, baby items, maternity clothes out into rural communities. And I'm very committed to helping those moms who may not have transportation to get to our area or another facility for help. So we care about the mom. We care about the baby even after they're born. And we want to help them making life-affirming decisions.
And again, when we think about really the preconceived notions and then sort of the kerosene that our culture and the mainstream media has thrown on pregnancy centers in recent years of, right, fake clinics, right?
Right.
You're the ones misleading women. You only care about the babies. And I always beg the question of when is the last time I've heard of an abortion clinic going out into a rural area and, giving out maternity
Right.
clothes and diapers?
Right. No, right. No, they're not going to do that. And, I would welcome anyone that questions what we're doing to come on a tour or give me a call. I'd love to have that conversation, because when women are cared for or listened to, then they can make their decisions. And so often they're going to choose life.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and that's such an interesting behind the scenes look at what the greatest threat to the abortion industry really is. It's like, we say that it's pregnancy centers, but at the heart of the matter, it's actually like much more granular. The greatest threat to the abortion industry is women knowing that there are other choices and supports out there, women being listened to, women having their needs met. That's the greatest threat.
Absolutely. And in a society that's saying women's rights and all that type of thing, I just don't always understand why women are not encouraged to have their baby go to college, get the degree. And we have seen women that are doing that and have done it quite well. We've seen women that have taken the detour that pregnancy has brought for them, and the blessing upon blessing that they're experiencing in their life is so dynamic. Has who that woman is, that's not good grammar, but who she is and her qualities and her characteristics and everything that she has to give this world is not diminished because she had a baby. And we are actually blessed because she had that child. So those are the things that I'd love to challenge just a little bit in winsome ways, because women through the centuries have been quite capable of handling all of that. And so I bring encouragement to women facing really hard times that that pregnancy is very pivotal in their life, and they can make it day by day and provide life for that beautiful child.
And I think one of the things that a lot of people don't realize, and you're exemplifying this, Libby, through talking about what you guys offer. So I want to unpack this stat a little bit, but the number of abortions that take place for psychosocial reasons. So right, in our culture, when abortion is the lightning rod that it is, we hear right choice and right and elective. And what's getting lost through all of that is the actual experiences of women. So how many abortions, or what's the percentage that you see of women who are facing psychosocial challenges, and that's why abortion is on the table for them?
Well, the majority of the women that we see in our clinic have either asked about abortion or undecided about what they're going to do. And so I want our donors to know, and just the way that we schedule our appointments, the majority of the people that we're seeing are truly in crisis. We are delighted to help women that are excited about their pregnancy, and we're cheering them on because we're excited about their pregnancy too, but they don't need a full appointment with us because they already understand. So when you think about that and who we are seeing, with over 80% of those women in a high risk category for abortion right now, those that are choosing life is at probably about 62, 68%, something like that. It still breaks our heart, but we're providing her with factual information, and we do intensive follow-up as they've given us permission. Everything in our clinic is permission-based. Nothing about what we do is coercive. We're always asking her as we go through that process and providing her that information, not only confirming the pregnancy, but her next steps. We're always permission-based in that. So, we want to help every single woman that we can, and we provide her with that information. But we also know this is her decision. And at the end of the day, we're praying for positive outcomes.
Yeah, and it's hard, isn't it, to be in that space where that is empowerment. You are giving her information, you are giving her support and resources, and allowing her to then make that decision. And I know that you, as a team, right, then put your faith in knowing that you've done what you are called to do, the best that you can do it. And you don't always hear back from someone about the choice they make.
Right. Now, if I could share briefly, though, how encouraging it is when we do get a little feedback. A woman came for an appointment and said she was going to have an abortion. She told us that on 2 different occasions. And then the third appointment, she didn't show up. And we already thought, okay, she must have had the abortion. We do follow-up calls, which is probably one of the hardest parts for our clinical staff to make, are those follow-up calls. And in calling, we found out, she said, oh, I have an OB appointment scheduled. I'm going to find out the gender next week. And she said, thanks to you and the ultrasound, I felt very drawn to my child. I felt I forgot the exact word she used, but it was the idea that that's what made the connection for her. And so we know and pray and believe that there are more women like that out there. It's just, like you said, we don't always get to hear the full story, and that's okay. But we know that we've met them. We've provided her with critical information. We've offered additional services, and then she's going to make her decision. And there's so many positive life stories, and of those 2 that have had abortions before, and now they find themselves in a similar situation, and they're choosing life for this pregnancy.
What's one of your most impactful stories that you could share from, maybe the last couple of years? Everybody has a favorite story.
Yeah. Let me think here real quick. One of I think a story that will always stand out to me is we were actually leaving a conference, and I was checking my email, kind of thing. And I'd received an email from a doctor in the Kansas City area who said, I've seen someone and helped them with a abortion pill reversal. Would you be willing to help them locally with additional ultrasounds after she's gone through the protocol that we have for her? And first of all, we were just so kind of excited to be a part of that side of this. So often we hear women saying they're going to take the abortion pill. Now this person has sought help and the reversal. And so that was so encouraging. And from that has just become a really positive opportunity for us to care about that mom. And she's gone above and beyond to meet the needs of her baby and to be well educated about motherhood. And she does all the things. She's juggled career and new job and all of those types of things while raising her daughter. So we are so blessed to know that, and that could have been a very different outcome. And we're grateful that we had the opportunity to meet her. Again, we don't always get to hear the whole story, but that was so very special for us.
And to be a part of that family's second choice at life and hope.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that part, I mean, it never, ever gets old. Hearing people's experiences, and all of us get to be just this tiny little part of it. But to me, that's one of my most motivating factors of why,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah, right.
It keeps us going, and amidst the battles that we face. I'd be curious, Libby, if you spoke directly to the people in Missouri, as we've had a lot of changes in the last few years. What do you want the people in Missouri to understand about abortion and even what you guys do as pregnancy centers? I mean, I appreciate that you've already said, like, hey, if you have questions, come on down. I mean, yes, let's come on down. But
right.
I do feel like the climate for pregnancy centers in Missouri got pretty heated, because we were a state, right, where you were continuing to serve. I mean, that's what, again, I want people to understand, even though you are outside of the scope of legislative issues, the reality is pregnancy centers are needed no matter what the laws in a state are. And when there are laws restricting abortion, women have needs, and that's why pregnancy centers exist. And I want funding to go to pregnancy centers no matter what. That's a novel idea. Let's not give $12,000 for somebody to go out of state and have a late term abortion.
I know.
How about we help change the course of their family forever? But I think it got really heated for y'all in the last few years. And so in many ways, it's sort of like you get thrown into the lion's den and you find out who you are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What does it look like for pregnancy centers? Do we have a coalition that get together in Missouri? Like, what does this look like?
Yeah. Basically, there is support. There is encouragement. I know what I'm supposed to do if at any time I feel insecure or threatened or anything like that. I have, there's great advocates for us with Thomas More Society and some great lawyers that want to care about us. And part of it is there's a battle. And I can choose today if I'm going to be downcast and overwhelmed by everything, because kind of what you've mentioned, it's constantly changing, or you think it's going to change and then it doesn't because of things that are happening just within the state. And so I have to be knowledgeable enough to know, but I'm also in a place where we are going to serve women. We want to continue our services. We don't ask anything of them. Our donors have made it possible for us to do this now since 1998. So when people are giving, then we are continuing to care, and we're able to do that knowing that it's actually a gift from God, right? But when all of the laws, we believe that every baby is a precious gift from conception, and we want every life to be valued. And so the states made a lot of changes, and I don't know if early on with Roe v. Wade change and things like that, Missouri was kind of in a place where, we were the first to have different pro-life laws that were just amazing, right? And I don't know if at any point we left our guard down, or we would think that, oh, this won't happen in our state. Well, here we are. And I think it's all the more reason for pro-life friends to, in winsome ways, be vocal about the importance of sanctity of life and of valuing life from conception to from the womb to the tomb. And I know everyone hears that, but let's just pause and think about that. What does it look like to be intentional and compassionately care about people and not label them based on their circumstance or how they were conceived? And so, Missouri, we have a lot of fights before us. I think in November 26th, it'll be back on the ballot. And the main thing there is that we do not want to be confused. We want to be informed. And I would tell friends, don't shy away from understanding what is on the ballot. Definitely want to be informed and make sure we understand the wording.
Yeah, most definitely. And I love the point that you made, Libby, which is, it's up to us, right, in winsome ways to be reaching people, to be educating people. And, I always remind people, like, your social media accounts, people are watching and they're listening. It doesn't matter if you're a public figure or not. I think your personal accounts carry way more weight, right? The conversations that you're having. But yeah, right. We sort of are our own worst enemy sometimes. We can be super passionate, but then that passion can be pretty short-sighted, and the judgment can come out, and that's where people sort of call the pro-life side out on the carpet and say, you guys are just judgmental. Well, I mean, listen, every side of the aisle is dealing with their own level of judgment,
right?
But it does really force us to have to think about our everyday conversations, and is it enough to support your pregnancy resource center, but then be missing the mark in every other way, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And so I think everything too that we just have a fear of and that becomes so overwhelming for us, we do need to be bold now. And just like we want women and men and unplanned pregnancies to live and be courageous, right? Even though this isn't what they planned. This isn't what we had planned in our state. And yet we need to live in a way believing that there will be promising things happen and that this can be overturned. I just really believe it. But when we shy away from truth, then that's going to be, we'll all have to pay the consequences if we're not willing to stand for what's right.
Yeah. And we're now in that time already, right, where we know that women and babies are paying the consequences from those decisions. And, just like you're inviting people into the center to get educated, I would challenge anybody who thinks that laws don't matter to look at what happened in states like Kansas when there was no common sense regulation of the abortion industry, not only the overall numbers of abortions being performed, but the complications. And there is a double standard of the abortion industry as opposed to, right, when they say, oh, that's just a medical procedure. Well, that's interesting that you don't want any sort of regulation that a medical facility would have. So you can't have it both ways. So,
if we're concerned about the health of the mother, the consequences of what's happening right now to women, in the state of Kansas and elsewhere is it's so heartbreaking to see how the women are suffering.
Right. And I'm sure you guys, if you haven't already seen it, that you will see it, that women are endangered by abortion in the state of Missouri right now. It's just one of those things that people aren't super honest about. I mean, I hear that all the time with pregnancy centers where that a woman is coming in and she is presenting in a certain way and she's probably been told to not tell you what has happened or what she's done, or they're showing up in the ER and saying that it was a miscarriage.
Right. Yeah, that's very typical. And those stories have been happening. And, we're not that far from Kansas. And so that's, we understand how women locally are being impacted like that.
Mm-hmm. For a woman who is listening right now, who is, she's staring down the face of a crisis pregnancy, and maybe she hasn't told anybody, Libby, what would you say to that woman?
Yeah. Well, no matter where she's at, find a pregnancy help center, gather information, ask questions, but also go just to clear your mind. And I think that's so important for these women to get facts before they're making a decision, and don't allow the voices around you to dictate that. There may be some very supportive people that want to come alongside and help you, and that's wonderful. But if they want to do that, you also need to think about their expectations, that relationship. I would take their support, but I'd also understand the way you feel today, you might feel different in a few more days. And time can work in your advantage so that you can live in this pregnancy versus just trying to avoid it or not be in reality that you are pregnant. So find a help center. They really do care. Contact me. I'd be more than happy to point you in the right direction as well. So there is a lot of help and encouragement and compassion. This is not new. What you're facing is not a new situation. There's nothing new under the sun. And people want to help you and walk alongside you. And you might even choose to parent or adoption. There's a lot of different ways that you can go ahead and carry that baby to term.
Yeah. And I love how you communicated that, Libby, that, it seems anytime any of us are in a crisis, right? It's overwhelming. My Uber driver recently, I had a long conversation with her in the car, and her children are like 4 and 5, but as a mom of a child with special needs, she's absolutely overwhelmed. And all she needed was for me to listen.
Right.
And she kept saying, I wasn't expecting you to get this. And I was like, well,
I do.
Surprise. Yeah. I mean, I know what it's like to be overwhelmed and overstimulated as a mother. Like, that's a thing. As you're saying, there's nothing new under the sun. Yeah. I mean, my kids are much older, but yet I know.
Right.
And I think that's what makes what you do so impactful is it's common sense.
But we have to care. We have to care, and we need to be intentional about that. If I'm so busy today, only thinking about the admin side of PRC, then someone will miss out. And so I need to be intentional on how I care about someone. If I'm answering the phone or if I'm greeting someone, that maybe I can provide a little hope today.
And that, I'm guessing, is something that you and I would both recommend to everyday people who are listening, which is,
Absolutely.
Right, keep it simple. See the people right in front of you.
Right. Yeah. And think through and be prepared. Let's be proactive to help people we care about and help those that we barely know. At the end of the day, if we know that we've encouraged someone, we've defended the unborn, we've helped provide for a way for a mom in crisis with a crisis pregnancy to have hope, I think those to me that's successful. That means that we are really to care about our neighbor being the preborn child too. That's what our society needs. We're going to continue to face the consequences of a culture that has really kind of glamorized abortion and glamorized choosing who lives and who dies. And that's sad. And so until then, we're going to suffer the consequences. But every day we each can choose to have a positive impact, even when times are very challenging.
Absolutely. And like you shared earlier, I want people who are listening who have been impacted by abortion to know that you are also there to support and help them find healing if they've already been impacted by abortion, whether it was, last week or 10 years ago.
Or 40 years ago. And sometimes we need to deal with that. And we'd be more than happy to listen and to help them get connected with the support that they need.
Which is also highly individualized, person to person.
It really is. Absolutely. It really is.
You've done a wonderful job, Libby, of, communicating how supportive and truly how individualized care is for women that your pregnancy resource center serves. And I'm going to echo your challenge, whether it's people who identify as pro-life or maybe people who are unsure of where they stand. Go up to St. Joseph, call them up, schedule a time to visit, or go to Cameron, right, whatever it is, and then let that sit a little bit.
Yeah, that would be great. We welcome that. And it's always, I find it's easier to share in person or opportunities like this. And so if anybody wants to contact us, that would be great.
Best way for them to find you and contact you, Libby?
Yeah, they can call me at 816-387-8090 or send me an email at libby.owens@stjosephprc.org.
And if someone needs immediate assistance, best way, phone, website?
Yeah, absolutely. Sure. Our helpline number is 816-244-7824. 816-244-7824.
Perfect. Libby, I just want to thank you for not only being a guest, but for just being who you are. Your spirit, I think, communicates itself well even in this interview, but you are the epitome of what you've been talking about today, which is to be compassionate, to be caring, but also to be bold. You fight for women and babies and families in a way that is winsome, for lack of a better word.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, it's been an honor to be here. Every day, I'm just reminded to do the next thing that we need to do. And we are continuing to pray for you, Melissa. I know it's difficult to do what you do day in and day out. May God bless you. But it is a great honor to be a part of the work for the preborn and for these that are in crisis.
Thank you, Libby. I hope that you, as a guest, have been positively impacted by Libby's conversation with me today. Again, meet her challenge. Go and contact this team. Find out more about what they do, how you can come alongside them, be a part of the positive impact they're making. And, do just like Libby is saying, every day, wake up doing that next right one thing. And it makes all the difference in the world, no matter whether you know the outcome of that impact or not. Wake up every day and do the next right thing.
Life Beyond Abortion is a podcast presentation of the Herzog Foundation. The views and opinions on the show are those of the host and her guest, and not necessarily those of the Herzog Foundation. You can find out more about Melissa's work at melissaohden.com or by following her on Instagram at melissaohden. Be sure to like and subscribe to the show so that you never miss an episode of Life Beyond Abortion.